standing on a second floor balcony at my parents' house in the suburbs of Mount Laurel, New Jersey. I have to whisper because, well, I could probably speak at a normal volume, but I'm going to whisper because there are lots of houses around here, including my own house, and it just seems like people would be able to hear me and might wake up even though they probably wouldn't. So, there are two notable things about the way the moon is appearing today. One of them is that it's appearing as a very thin crescent, but that it's having that effect where you can still see the entire circle. I think the reason for that right now is that it's actually becoming light out. I guess the sun is not quite rising yet, but it's getting to be that time. So there's the contrast between the dark of the shadow that's being cast on the moon and the light blue of the sky. Another is that the crescent isn't appearing as white as it normally does when you look at it at other times of the night, but is appearing instead as a more yellow, goldish color. I think that, and obviously, I feel like this is a very unfounded thought, but I'm feeling like this has to do with maybe the position of the sun or the sunlight that's actually being cast onto the moon. I think that it's interesting that now when the sun is coming up, but also at various moments in the night, I know that the color of the moon changes sometimes. So sometimes it appears at this color in the middle of the night and not when the sun is rising or anything like that. But it seems like this color gives a very different effect to the way the moon appears than when the moon simply glows that whitish color. I think this simply has to do with the relationship that the glow or the light cast by the moon has with the glow cast by the sun. So, the sun, obviously, I guess we associate closely with flame or with this yellow, orange, red. The moon with white, gray, and blue. And it seems like when the moon appears these other colors, it loses that glowing characteristic. Now I think that there are certain ways that the moon changes color that retain this glowing characteristic, but others when it loses it. So I think that now it's not appearing as glowing, but it simply appears as a brightly illuminated object with a shadow cast over it. I think at other times, I know that sometimes the moon appears that orangey color. Not too sure why that is exactly. But when that occurs, I feel like the moon still appears as though it has an internal light source. I think another reason for that may simply be the contrast between the color of the moon and the color of the plane of the sky that surrounds it, or the clouds even. So I feel like if there was a very thin cloud over the moon right now in the sky, this glowing characteristic would be retained, and it would lose the characteristic of simply being an illuminated object in the sky. rising because I remember looking at the moon about an hour from now, a few days ago, and it being much higher in the sky. Meaning that I don't know if it would have time to lower back down by the time the sun is totally out. So I'm wondering if maybe the moon simply sort of fades into the sky, or the colors of the moon appear bluer and bluer, or appear with less contrast to the blue of the sky as the day goes on. Because I know normally when the moon appears during the day, or at least the times that I can think of concretely, the moon appears on the other side of the sun while the sun is setting in a lighter contrast than it could, meaning that most of the darks that appear in the definition of the moon, so the craters and things like that, appear blue or blend in with the color of the sky somewhat. I think this orange character that the color of the moon is exhibiting now gives the moon, in relation to the rest of the sky, a much different sort of appearance, and I keep wanting to use the word character, maybe role, in determining the way that the sky appears. I feel like it creates a much more dynamic palette, and moreover, the fact that the moon is able to exhibit this dynamic palette over time gives the moon its dynamic character in contrast to the sun, this being one of the consequences of the fact that we can look directly at the moon, whereas we cannot look directly at the sun, and when we do so, it usually has the same effect unless there is some intervening substance of some sort, say a cloud or something like that. But we can simply look directly at the moon, and that's why we are able, I suppose, to witness the change in its hues, and moreover, the change